These were a request from one of you, and I can't for the life of me find the frickin' screenshot. Hi everybody, today I am taking a look at the Staedtler double-ended watercolor brush markers, the Marsgraphic Duo. Like I said in the intro, these were recommended to me by I think more than one of you, and I swear I took a screenshot of it and I cannot find it because I am super organized. Whatever. So I ordered these off of Amazon. They're about $24 as of the recording of this video. I just went and looked and they are prime shipping now. When I ordered these maybe 2 weeks ago, they weren't prime shipping and I had to wait for one of those like third-party sellers to send them to me, so that's a good thing, right? Woohoo! According to the website, they are double-ended watercolor brush markers with durable foam brush tip, ideal for fine art illustrations, doodling, journaling, hand lettering, and more. The fine point is 0.5 to 0.8 millimeter. The brush is 1.0 to 6 millimeter, designed for creating thicker, thinner, varied lines in one stroke. Mix with water to incorporate beautiful watercolor effects, richly saturated color, and superior blendability. So those are all of the details on these. The pack I got has 36 colors. They have like a 72 pack of double-ended fiber-tipped markers, but they are not the brush pens. This is the biggest pack I could find. So I'm not sure if a bigger one exists or not. These were not, I had to do like a bunch of different searching terms to find these in the first place. So this definitely does say that they are like watercolor comparable, so I will test that, but let's look at the markers themselves first. So here is the actual marker. This is what it looks like. It looks kind of cheap, I'm not gonna lie. It shows which side is the brush and which side is the fine tip. It does not have a color listed on it. The caps are just the color. This is what the tip looks like. In comparison to a Tombow, it looks like it's similar kind of fatness, but a little bit shorter. Yeah, like they have the same kind of girthiness. This one, the Staedtler, is just like about half the length. The fine point tip, I guess you can like angle how you write with it to get different lengths. The Tombow tip looks kind of a little bit different. It's a little bit blunter, and it's not a tip like regular Staedtlers or here's a Bic intensity. It's not that kind of tip either. So it's like it's a felt tip, and it's got some amount of kind of pointiness on it where you can angle it and make the line thicker or thinner as you want, but it is not a brush tip. I just went hunting around the internet and I could not find a color chart with names on it. I found charts with numbers, and it looks like these may come in 80 colors potentially, at least in other countries. But because there's no numbers on these and there's no color names, which you guys know is something I'm not a fan of, I'm just gonna have to try and keep them in order whether I like them or not. Well, I guess we'll see. So let's look at the tip and all the things. Like, let's look at how they work. So we'll start with the fine point. So I don't know if you noticed, but I was writing kind of straight up and down and then kind of at an angle where I was laying it kind of flat on its side. You can get the two different sizes. It's a nice enough fine point. I can already see it blunting down a bit though. I don't imagine that this is something that would hold up really well with heavy-handed for a lot of writing, but for like detail coloring, I think it could be pretty good. As for the brush tip, it's a very, very firm brush tip. Very firm. With the full pressure of my hand, it bends a little bit. If you go in the other direction though, it bends right back, but it's very, very firm, which is something I like. I like a firmer brush tip because I find it easier to control with my heavy hand. I also really like how the ink lays down heavy up here and then lightens as you go down. That ombre effect is something I find really beautiful. Now looking at the caps, they don't snap on, they kind of glide on, but it's fairly secure. And when you stick them on the end, they pop right off if you push on them. But if you hold them, because it's already a long pen to begin with one cap on one end, it's a fairly decent sized pen. So if you stick this on the end, generally speaking, your hand isn't going to touch it, so it should be okay for keeping the cap in one spot. It's a fairly smooth feeling barrel. There is like this area here, and then there's a ridge, and then there's this area. There's no like texture on it. It's very smooth, so you can hold it here or you can hold it here, but just watch out for the middle because this is fairly rough, and like most of the ones that I have like some of the plastic kind of edging coming off of them. It looks a little cheap. Let's look at the dry time. Now, you know, they never said that they're quick dry, but I like looking at that. Oh yeah, that doesn't dry quickly at all. I mean, that's like, gave it just a couple seconds, it still smears. So I would be careful with these if you are left-handed. It says they should blend really well with water, so I'm gonna put down some of this kind of pink color, and then next to it, this other pink color. and then hopefully before they dry. It didn't really do much of anything. That's still wet. Let's try it this way. So it looks like if you get it still wet, the color pulls out, but the lines where it originally went down, like they're not blending out. They're staying there. So you can pull the color away, but it doesn't look like you can dissolve the edges of where the color originally was. All right, so we're layering these two. I want to just see if I can blend them together. And as you can see, you can blend the colors together, but it doesn't completely disintegrate the lines. It could be fun to play with, but they don't completely like disappear. Like the E. coli markers, which are basically liquid watercolors, you can get the color to completely blow out if you use water on it. And these guys, it looks like it doesn't quite go that far, but it does blend. Now I'm gonna create a swatch page of these and just look at all the colors together. Like I said, they don't have numbers or anything, so I'm just gonna have to go with the colors. Now I'm starting a new swatch book. This is actually the official bullet journal thing that came with the Writer Carol book, but since it's not my style for a regular bullet journal, I'm just going to start with a swatch page here. I'm actually going to live stream later this month to fill this in with all of my other pens. More about that to come. I'm filming this PS before my surgery, but as of when this video is going up, my surgery will have already happened. So hopefully if you're paying attention to my Instagram at Llama Letters, you will know how that went and how I am feeling. Oh, this is interesting. So the thing comes out. Oh, I'm not pulling that all the way out though. That's not a good idea. This does pull out a little bit. So I'm going to start creating a swatch page with these colors here. And I already spelled it wrong. Brand new journal. Already spelled it wrong. Fuck it. I'm going to use this future log page because I don't use those. Oh, but I won't be able to see whether or not they bleed. Well, I guess we can see right here how it bled and shadowed through on the paper. Nope, we're gonna go right here. We'll just deal with that. We'll glue all these together or some shit. I'll find something to do with that. Here is my swatch page. As you can see, I screwed up, and I'm going to actually mention why that kind of bugged me. So I was in the middle of these three colors. This is the purple, and then these two colors, they look very similar. You can see here I had to keep figuring out which one was which, because they looked so similar. Like there is a difference between them, but it's not much. So this kind of confused the shit out of me. There was that. The other thing I will also mention is that there's a handful of colors that I did not feel matched. These two specifically, they did not match their cap. This one right here, much darker. The cap is much darker than the actual ink. And then the same for this. These don't look anything alike. This brown and this, like, they look nothing alike. The rest of them seemed pretty true to color. Now, as for the colors themselves, I think they're beautiful. They are vibrant, but because of the way they go down, I don't know if you can see this here, but they look like they're already faded. The colors aren't pale, except for this one. This one is damn near useless to me. Like, it would be nice, but like there's no other color this pale. So it feels like if they had like one of these for all the different color families, I could see what they meant by blending, but this sort of feels like the odd man out. When you look at these though, because of the way the color goes down, it feels like you colored it and then a bunch of time has passed and it was in the sun and it's just faded a little bit. You can see it looking at a lot of these. None of them went down evenly, if that makes sense. Now looking at the back here, there is a lot of ghosting. I don't think any of them fully bled through except for that weird brown color and maybe a couple of these dark purples. But the rest, it just has a lot of ghosting. Now this is a loose term. From what I understand, the paper tends to be a little ghostier. So you could use this in your planner, but you'd have to be prepared for the fact that there is going to be ghosting. As for the color selection, I think it's a really nice one. There's some redundancies. I feel like a couple of these yellows really close together. There's the aforementioned pinks I was struggling with, and then a couple of these greens maybe, but like the teal here is absolutely beautiful. So they're nice colors, and I really enjoy the tip. None of the tips were frayed. They all worked really well. They all did that bending thing, but you can just bend them back by flipping them over. And the price is not bad. 23 bucks, 25, 23, 24 bucks for 36 markers is actually a pretty decent price. I would consider these to be a little bit better in general than some of the other cheaper ones I've looked at, maybe just because even though the colors come out a little bit more faded, the tip doesn't suck, especially if you want to be practicing. I think these would be good practice pens. Maybe that's a good thing to look at. Overall, I would say these are mediocre brush pens. I wouldn't say they're fantastic. I wouldn't say they suck ass. Price-wise and quality-wise, they kind of line up. Like, I think that I wouldn't pay more than 24 bucks for this pack. There's some things I wish they had, like numbers on them or colors to match them, but like I said, they for the most part match their caps, which is helpful, except for a couple of outliers. If you've got brush pens you're happy with, I don't think you need to pick these up. If you are looking for something to practice with and you haven't found a tip that works for you and you gravitate towards the firmer tips, these might be a good one to check out. 1 out of 2 thumbs, 5 out of 10, I don't know how to recommend it. Kind of like meh. That's kind of where I'm at. If you have any pens you'd like me to take a look at, let me know in the comments down below, and I will do my best to remember who recommended what, because apparently that's something I need to work on in the new year. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.